A terrifying moment as a popular podcaster is attacked at gunpoint. It happened as he streamed live on YouTube.
It was pretty much just pure shock.
Adam Grandmason, who hosts the weekly hip-hop podcast No Jumper, says at first he thought the stick-up was a prank.
The he that I let out is just this bizarre, nervous reaction, I guess, because I just couldn't, at that moment, I couldn't imagine that this was seriously happening. It felt like it was a joke.
The internet is a battlefield, and few figures understand that better than ADAM22, the often controversial founder of No Jumper. His platform thrives on navigating the rough and tumble world of hip-hop and internet culture. But a recent incident plunged him into a conflict that some online observers have framed in the most dramatic terms, as a form of retribution or even torture orchestrated by those who felt deeply disrespected. The spark that ignited this firestorm was an event that began with a simple invitation but quickly devolved into chaos at the No Jumper studio, setting off a chain reaction of events that exposed the raw nerves of street politics and online retaliation. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. For many, it was a perceived slight that triggered a response analyzed by some as a calculated effort to make ADAM22 feel the consequences of disrespect. The incident at the heart of this narrative is, of course, the ill-fated Hood Day orchestrated by Travis Ford at the No Jumper studio. As previously recounted, Lush One extended an invitation to Travis Ford for a seemingly low-key podcast appearance, a standard procedure for the platform. However, Travis Ford arrived with a massive entourage, reportedly around 100 people, including individuals identified as members of the Crips community, camera crews, performers, and even catered food. ADAM22, expecting a routine day and operating with minimal staff, was blindsided by the sheer scale of the unexpected gathering. His decision to deny entry to the large group, driven by security concerns and the violation of established studio protocols, was the critical moment that transitioned a logistical issue on to a cultural and interpersonal conflict with significant fallout. From the perspective of
Impacted us. Number one, we have a lawsuit from this disgruntled bitch-ass employee, which we're dealing with, which, that alone is not going to ruin our year or anything like that, but that's definitely been something that has been costing us a lot of money. We also lost our Instagram for about 7 months, but I do have to say, thanks to that big guy upstairs, we got it back 2 days after I made that video. We got the Instagram back, so that was definitely a consequence of making that video that I kind of foresaw.
Travis Ford and his entourage, particularly those affiliated with local Crips sets who were part of the group, being turned away after arriving in such numbers, having brought resources like food and prepared to engage, was reportedly seen as a profound act of disrespect. They had come to the platform, in their view, potentially to bridge gaps or simply to engage with a prominent media outlet, and the door was slammed shut in their face. This perceived snub at the physical location of No Jumper, in front of cameras and a large crowd, was the spark that ignited the subsequent backlash, creating a narrative among those involved and sympathetic to them that ADAM22 had shown a serious lack of respect, particularly towards individuals in a community that command significant influence and demand deference in their territory. This perceived disrespect rapidly translated into tangible forms of retaliation, largely playing out in the very arena. No Jumper inhabits social media. The online world became the primary battleground where frustration and anger were aired, and where the torture or consequences for ADAM22 were delivered, not through physical violence within the studio, but through public shaming and intimidation tactics. Almost immediately after the denial of entry, videos began circulating online, filmed by members of the disgruntled entourage outside the studio. These videos featured individuals vocally expressing their outrage, directing threats and insults directly at ADAM22 and the No Jumper platform. The Banned from LA declaration, while its practical enforceability is debatable, was a powerful symbolic threat, intended to undermine No Jumper's ability to operate freely and safely within the city that serves as the backdrop for much of its content and
videos.
That was our last big hurrah. That's a fact.
Okay, now you and I had this conversation about this, so I have an interesting perspective on it, and I was kind of playing with it on Twitter. I was like, should I buy No Jumper? And then I'm like, oh, I'm finalizing the sale of No Jumper. What job should I give Adam? Because I knew the comments were going to be comedy.
A couple of people hit me up. You need to fade Vlad for this. I'm like, that is not the appropriate conclusion.
Connections. This social media retaliation served as a form of public humiliation, putting ADAM22 in a defensive position and forcing him to respond to accusations of cowardice and disrespect. The viral spread of these videos meant the incident and the accusations reached a wide audience, amplifying the pressure on Adam. Every share, every comment, every meme created from the footage contributed to a narrative portraying Adam as someone who had crossed a line. This constant barrage of negative attention, the public questioning of his character and standing within the community he often reports on, and the implied or explicit threats circulating online can be incredibly taxing. Online harassment, especially on this scale and with these undertones, can feel like a form of psychological pressure, a relentless onslaught of negativity that aims to create discomfort and anxiety. Adam himself has often spoken about the challenges of dealing with constant online scrutiny and criticism. He might describe the experience of having such a public incident dissected and weaponized online as mentally draining, having to constantly be aware of what's being said and the potential implications. He might frame it as the difficult reality of being a public figure in the internet age, where every action is scrutinized and often twisted into a negative narrative. The social media storm, therefore, became a significant part of the consequences Adam faced, serving as a constant reminder of the perceived transgression and the anger it generated. Delving deeper into the significance of this fallout requires understanding the complex world of street politics and unspoken rules that govern interactions within certain communities in Los Angeles, particularly those intertwined with the hip-hop scene. LA's landscape, especially South Central, is marked by the presence of
self-incrimination at its finest. F no jumper, east to west of South LA. Speak up on your culture, not ours, until y'all make it right. Stay dangerous. East side, stop speaking on our culture if you can't be around us. I ain't mad at him, man. Right? When you're in LA, the quickest way to get some answers or get some resolution is to make threats. Because if you're a gangbanger with, I don't know, 1,000
area street gangs, including numerous Crips sets, each with its own territory, rivalries, and code of conduct. While No Jumper operates in the digital realm in a physical studio space, its content frequently engages with individuals who are directly or indirectly connected to this street culture. Disrespect within this context is not a minor offense. It can have serious cultural and even physical consequences. There are established hierarchies, protocols, and expectations regarding how individuals associated with specific sets should be treated, particularly when they are engaging with external entities like media platforms. Bringing a large group of individuals, including identified gang members, to a location with the understanding, from their perspective, that they would be welcomed or given a platform only to be turned away can be interpreted within this cultural framework as a significant slight. It can be seen as a challenge to their standing, a public dismissal that cannot go unanswered if credibility and respect within their own circles are to be maintained. The banned from LA declaration, while not a legally binding order, reflects a powerful sentiment within this context, a statement that the offending party is no longer welcome or safe in certain areas or interactions due to their perceived transgression. Adam, having operated within the periphery of this culture for years through his interviews, is presumably aware of the sensitivities involved, but the incident highlighted a potential miscalculation or failure to navigate these delicate dynamics effectively. He might explain his decision by stating his primary responsibility is the safety of his staff and his business, and that hosting an unannounced event of that scale was an unacceptable risk regardless of who the guests were. However, the perception among the
Today was a crazy day at No Jumper and everything got captured on camera. I was told not to make this video. I might lose my job for making this video. But I said, yo, my people need the content. I got to bring the content, bro. You feel me? Adam, my brother, bro, he gonna forgive me, man. But we got to talk about this. This is really, really, really bad. This entire situation is centered around two people. The guy on your left called Travis Ford, he's a guy from Main Street Crip. And the guy on your
those who felt disrespected was that the manner in which it was handled, the public turning away, constituted the offense rather than the initial logistical issue. This clash between business protocol and street protocol created the fertile ground for the backlash. Within the framework of street politics, consequences for perceived disrespect can take to various forms beyond direct physical Confrontation. Social media retaliation is one potent tool, leveraging public opinion and online reach to apply pressure. Economic consequences can also arise. A ban from certain areas or interactions could potentially impact No Jumper's ability to secure guests from those communities or conduct filming in certain locations, limiting its content pool and connections. Reputation damage within these circles can make future interactions difficult or impossible for a platform that relies heavily on access to figures within hip-hop and related street cultures. Being viewed as disrespectful or unwelcome by segments of this community can be a significant blow, limiting its ability to generate content and maintain its cultural relevance. Adam has often expressed frustration with the complexities of navigating these relationships. He might say that he tries to treat everyone with respect, but that running a public platform inevitably leads to misunderstandings and conflict, especially when dealing with individuals from different worlds with different rules. He might emphasize that his intentions were never to disrespect anyone, but solely to manage a business operation safely. Despite his explanations, the narrative of disrespect, once established within certain influential circles, is difficult to undo and continues to shape perceptions of No Jumper. The cumulative effect of the social media backlash, the declared
showed up. I know a lot of them came.
The truth of the matter is, Adam really had nothing to do with this. But because Lush invited people who were unauthorized to be there, Adam and his business is now being affected. So now people are saying, yo, Adam called the police on us. Adam invited us here. He's kicking us out. What's going on? So Adam is taking a brunt of this while Lush is sort of just skating under the radar. Nobody is really tapping. Because, bro, if police get caught at No Jumper or a group of dudes get kicked out or aren't allowed to come in, even if Adam was not there, they would have still put the blame on Adam. They would have still said, yo, it's Adam's fault. Now, I do know that Adam and Travis Ford has hopped on the phone, and they have hopped on the phone and squashed it. Now, Travis Ford was just on Clubhouse after squashing it with Adam talking about, oh, I don't know, I might wake up tomorrow and still want war. But for now, he claims that, you know, it's good, it's all straight. Him and Adam has talked it out, they have squashed it. Now, it's still unclear.
Ban and the underlying tension created by the perceived disrespect within the framework of street politics can be viewed by some as a multifaceted form of pressure on ADAM22. It's not just a single incident. It's the ongoing commentary, the lingering threat, whether real or symbolic, and the potential long-term impact on his platform's relationships and access. This persistent state of dealing with the fallout, constantly having to address the controversy, defend his actions, and navigate the altered landscape of his interactions within LA, is what the sensational narrative online frames as a form of torture. A sustained period of difficulty and consequence stemming from a single event. It highlights how perceived slights in one sphere can have far-reaching and uncomfortable repercussions in another, especially when amplified by the unforgiving nature of the internet. The situation underscores the delicate balance ADAM22 must maintain, operating at the intersection of mainstream online media and the often unseen complex dynamics of street culture, where misunderstandings can carry heavy weight and perceived disrespect can lead to prolonged, multifaceted consequences. Adam has publicly acknowledged the difficulty of this situation, expressing frustration that a simple misunderstanding spiraled so dramatically. He might reiterate that his decision was purely based on the logistics and safety of his business, not on a lack of respect for Travis Ford or anyone in his group. He might argue that the reaction was disproportionate to the perceived offense, highlighting the challenges of dealing with expectations that conflict with standard business operations. Despite his attempts to explain his perspective, the narrative of disrespect and the subsequent backlash have become deeply embedded in the online commentary surrounding.
So Lush will actually take to YouTube to break down exactly what happened, how he effed up, and he will also respond back to ADAM22 suspending him for a week.
Since then, and I've always wanted to continue to try to work with him, vice versa. He always tapped in with me. Never really had a chance to spin the block with an interview again with him until about a month ago. Earlier this month, we wound up locking in the interview and I had him come on the news. Now, I've been wanting to bring him back. I completely fucked up as far as the protocol, and I did not realize just like kind of how faded I was, and I'd been kind of just in this getting fucked up and making music mode, and I was so just in that.
No jumper. This ongoing struggle to control the narrative and mitigate the real-world consequences of a perceived slight in the highly sensitive environment of LA street culture contributes to the picture painted by those who view the fallout as a form of sustained pressure on ADAM22. The incident serves as a stark reminder that in the digital age, offline actions have immediate online repercussions, and in specific cultural contexts, perceived missteps can trigger complex and lasting backlashes. The Travis Ford incident and its aftermath are more than just another piece of internet drama. They are a case study in the collision of different cultural rules and the power of online narratives to shape perception and create real-world pressure. The narrative of ADAM22 facing intense consequences for perceived disrespect, framed sensationally by some online as a form of torture, continues to be a point of discussion and speculation, adding another layer to the complex and often tumultuous story of No Jumper. For continuous coverage of the intricate dynamics at play in the world of internet media, hip-hop culture, and beyond, and to stay ahead of the latest controversies and developments, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. The multifaceted consequences stemming from the Travis Ford incident and the subsequent online firestorm extend beyond public shaming and potential damage to reputation. They touch upon the very operational capacity of No Jumper and potentially the personal state of ADAM22 himself. One significant area of impact that online observers speculate upon is the potential for exclusion from certain events and spaces within the city that has long been the backdrop for No Jumper's content. Los Angeles, the highly visible and vocal banned from LA declaration, while
It's you, man. Taco P been waiting on you.
Easy call. Hey, this Wednesday, No Jumper, we turning up, gang.
Oh, man, we turning all the way up.
I need my neighbors in the building. I need my neighbors.
Yeah, oh, gang, man. We got my niggas from 6-0, Blue Cinco coming out, man. We got my boy Shadow 4, our whole gang, man. Shout out Global Bill. I'm bringing some shit, Lush.
Hey, what they call me in the main streets?
Man, Mafia Lush, man.
Mafia lunch. You stupid. The cracking. You know what's going on. My dog Travis Ford, CEO of Dosh Network. What's cracking? All right.
Yo, Dogs Network, nigga, Taco Peace, too. We out here.
Come on, man. All right, then.
Lush is telling him Wednesday we gonna turn up. Wednesday we gonna get cracking. Now, Travis Ford has a sponsorship by this taco place. So he was using this invite to also get the taco place some free promo to like 4 million subscribers. So it felt like Lush opened up the door by a crack, and Travis Ford brought a bulldog.
Formal legal standing carries symbolic weight within specific communities and social circles. This exclusion isn't necessarily about ADAM22 being physically barred from entering the city limits, but rather a more nuanced form of social and professional isolation that acts as a silent punishment. It could manifest as difficulty accessing or being welcomed in certain neighborhoods or areas traditionally associated with the communities who felt disrespected by the incident. It might mean being quietly uninvited from industry events, parties, or gatherings where individuals involved in the backlash are present or hold influence, creating an uncomfortable atmosphere or even potential security risks. Furthermore, and perhaps most significantly for a media platform, it could lead to challenges in securing interviews with certain artists, producers, or figures who are either directly involved with the communities feeling disrespected or who choose to distance themselves from No Jumper to avoid association with the controversy. This reluctance to engage could stem from loyalty, fear of repercussions within their own circles, or simply a desire to avoid the drama. This type of exclusion isn't loud and public like a social media attack. It's a silent drying up of access, a quiet closing of doors that can hinder the platform's ability to secure diverse and relevant guests, particularly those rooted in the street culture that has been a vital part of No Jumper's content. Adam might downplay this, asserting that he can still get interviews with plenty of people and that his reach is global, not limited to specific LA circles. He might attribute any changes in guest booking to natural shifts in the content cycle or the availability of individuals. However, the persistent narrative among observers suggests that the incident has indeed created.
ADAM22 responds back to the Crips banning No Jumper from LA. This situation is crazy. If you aren't already tapped in with the situation, let's do a quick recap. So Lush One invited this guy by the name of Travis Ford to No Jumper to come and do the news. Travis Ford took that as an invitation to bring 100 people with him. So 100 Crips showed up with cake, with tacos, with an open mic, a production crew, and Adam is like, yo, what's going on? Lush One never told us about this. We ain't know 100 you guys were supposed to be here. y'all can't come in, bro. This is too much. So then Travis Ford and who he was with, they proceeded to say F No Jumper, and No Jumper is banned from LA because they couldn't come in and podcast with No Jumper.
Adam, scary ass. Let us in.
Travis Ford, cuz, what's going on, cuz?
Stop playing less invited us.
No.
Nigga, y'all
Adam,
be
what?
in culture, cuz, until the whole
Barriers, making certain types of content or collaborations harder to achieve, functioning as a subtle but impactful form of consequence. Another angle explored by those analyzing the fallout is the potential for fear-based isolation influencing ADAM22's public behavior and content strategy, dealing with perceived threats even, if they primarily exist in the online sphere or as implied social consequences, can undeniably impact an individual's sense of security and lead to increased caution. Observers speculate whether the incident has made Adam more risk-averse in his professional conduct. Has he consciously or subconsciously reduced the number of face-to-face interviews he conducts with potentially volatile or controversial guests? Are there fewer spontaneous interactions in public spaces that could potentially lead to uncomfortable encounters? Is he leaning more heavily on remote interviews conducted via video calls, which offer a physical buffer? Has there been a shift away from actively seeking out guests known for their deep ties to the street or those involved in ongoing conflicts? This potential shift towards more controlled environments and a potentially narrower pool of guests could be interpreted as a form of self-imposed isolation driven by heightened security concerns or a desire to avoid repeating past mistakes. Adam might attribute any changes in content format or guest selection to the natural evolution of the platform, viewer preferences, or simply logistical convenience. He might strongly deny that fear dictates his decisions, emphasizing that he makes strategic choices based on what's best for the business and his own safety. Nevertheless, the perception that the incident has introduced a new layer of caution or even apprehension into his approach is a significant part of the online discussion about the—
And he says, yo, he brought a production crew, he brought a mic stand, he brought party gifts, he brought a cake, tacos. So they already had this thing planned out to where they were going to have essentially a hood day at No Jumper, a party, and the boss at No Jumper knew nothing about it. Now they claim that Lush invited him, but Lush invited him to come and podcast, not to come and have parties, not to come and do a music video, not to come and do a peace congregation with multiple gangs. So when this came out, Adam decided that he wanted to respond back to really explain what happened and his side of things. Because what it looks like Lush One was trying to get them in, but Adam was the big bad guy who said, yo, y'all can't come in. And he was the one who wasted people's time. Adam wanted to explain that he ain't waste nobody's time, that it was Lush One's fault.
Okay, so I'm going to speak on the situation that happened today. Basically, like, I don't know,
the long-term effects of the controversy. Perhaps the most profound and speculated upon consequence of the constant pressure and perceived threats is the psychological toll it takes on ADAM22. Being a public figure constantly under scrutiny is inherently stressful, but operating a platform frequently embroiled in controversy, dealing with public feuds, navigating complex cultural dynamics, and facing perceived threats, even if symbolic, can lead to significant emotional strain. The incident at the studio, followed by the social media storm, and the lingering sense of having potentially alienated a powerful community segment could contribute to heightened levels of stress and anxiety. Constantly being aware of who might be watching, what is being said online, and the potential for uncomfortable or confrontational encounters could foster a sense of hypervigilance or even paranoia. This psychological burden, while not always visible to the casual viewer, could manifest in various ways. Observers might notice subtle changes in Adam's demeanor during public appearances or on camera, perhaps appearing more guarded, defensive, or less outwardly relaxed and confident than in the past. The need to constantly address controversies, defend his actions, and project an image of strength amidst challenges can be exhausting and contribute to emotional fatigue. This ongoing psychological pressure can, in the eyes of some, lead to a perceived weakening of his public persona. The charismatic, fearless interviewer might sometimes seem more burdened or reactive, while Adam often projects an image of resilience and toughness, openly discussing the stresses of his job and how he copes. The cumulative effect of continuous controversy and perceived threats is a significant factor in the narrative of the consequences he faces. He might acknowledge
showed up at the office and they had cakes and all kinds of crazy shit, like, you know, a big truck with No Jumper graphics on the side, whatever, which sounds okay, but there was like nobody at the office. It was like me and the Plug Talk girls, and that was it. So I was really confused. It turns out that Lush, in the middle of whatever kind of binge, whatever you want to call this that he's on, he had basically invited a shitload of people to come to the office to do content. Now, he says he only invited 2 people. It was only supposed to be like 2-3 people. They came super deep. We shut it down. We said, listen, we don't have anybody here. There's nothing going on. You guys cannot come in. And nobody is allowed to pull up to our spot this deep ever, regardless. So I'm just going to say, do I blame the people who showed up? I mean, not really.
The difficulty of his role, stating that it requires a thick skin and the ability to navigate immense pressure, but he would likely maintain that he is managing and that the stress is part of the package, rather than a debilitating force. However, the online speculation persists that the psychological weight of the controversies, particularly those that touch upon real-world safety concerns, has had a tangible impact on his state of mind and public presentation. The Travis Ford incident thus serves as a critical turning point in the ongoing narrative surrounding ADAM22 and No Jumper, illuminating the potential for significant consequences stemming from perceived disrespect within specific cultural contexts. The speculated exclusion from events and spaces represents a professional hurdle, potentially limiting access and collaborations. The potential for fear-based isolation suggests a change in operational strategy and public behavior driven by heightened security awareness, and the discussed psychological toll highlights the personal cost of constantly operating at the intersection of internet, fame, and real-world complexities and tensions. These factors, combined with the public backlash and underlying business pressures, paint a picture of a platform and its founder navigating a turbulent period where the fallout from a single unexpected event continues to shape their trajectory and perception. In the public eye, the sensational framing of these consequences as a form of torture underscores the dramatic nature of the online narrative surrounding this conflict, reflecting the intense scrutiny and high stakes involved in ADAM22's world. To keep up with how these events continue to unfold and impact the landscape of online media and hip-hop culture, and to get immediate updates on all the latest developments, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Posts on the account, and that mostly vanished overnight. And while we've been growing the new No Jumper LA account up ever since and managing to sell sponsored collab posts using my Instagram and the No Jumper LA account, DM or email if interested, we aren't making anywhere near as much from Instagram now. Side note, if you're a Meta rep, please DM me. I would love to speak to anyone who could help with this. And second, in addition to that, we have been hit with a bullshit lawsuit from a former employee. Now, essentially every censored, aka nude interviews with up-and-coming superstars like Kazumi and Sky Bree fell off quite a bit with the launch of Plug Talk and a decreased interest in seeing us interview stars. In addition to that, you might recall that the channel took quite a hit when approximately 8 of our hosts left the platform in March of 2023. Although we've definitely largely recovered and managed to build up a very healthy roster of talent since then, that certainly took a toll on our business for a while as well. All that stuff hurt the business, but we were still So there's something that I've been hiding from you guys. No Jumper is going broke. I know that might sound crazy. Between both of our YouTube channels last month, we got over 25 million views. We're doing well on Facebook and Snapchat. We employ quite a few of the hottest content creators on the West Coast, and we pump out an insane amount of content on a weekly basis. How could we be going broke? Well, let's start here. We expanded too much during COVID at just about the exact moment that our revenue streams are solidly profitable. That is, until the last few months, where we experienced 2 major L's that we never could have seen coming. First, we lost the No Jumper Instagram. After almost 10 years of building it up and essentially no strikes on our account, we got taken down one day and we still have absolutely no idea why. We've had no luck getting it back despite being in contact with what seems like every Instagram recovery guy on the face of the planet. We were bringing in a very solid amount of cash monthly that was keeping us afloat via selling sponsored